The hotel ballroom sparkled with the artificial glamour of our 10-year high school reunion. Designer dresses, luxury watches, and carefully practiced humble brags filled the air as former classmates competed in the unspoken contest of who'd made it. I stood quietly by the refreshment table, watching Jessica Martinez park her Mercedes in the valet area, making sure everyone saw her toss the keys with practiced casualness. Behind her, Blake Thompson pulled up in his BMW, while Madison Clark's Porsche completed the luxury car parade. "Oh my God, is that Rachel?" Jessica's voice carried across the room with practiced precision. "Still driving that old Honda?" "I saw it in the self-parking lot." "Some things never change," Blake smirked, adjusting his Rolex. The same model I'd seen advertised in the replica luxury section of my property management company's recent counterfeit investigation. What they didn't know was that the hotel, along with its premium parking facilities and the entire surrounding complex, belonged to RA Holdings, my company. The name on the property deed clearly hadn't triggered any memories of Rachel Anderson, the girl they'd mocked for working as a parking attendant during high school. "Rachel." Madison air-kissed her way over, designer heels clicking on marble floors I'd personally selected during the recent renovation. "We were just discussing cars. Still being economical?" I smiled, checking my phone as another alert came in from building security. 3 more payments declined on the valet tickets. The third this evening. "Some of us have different priorities," I replied, watching Jessica's credit card get declined again at the bar. The third attempt with different cards. "Right," Blake laughed, "like when you were checking parking tickets instead of going to senior parties. What are you doing now?" "Still in transportation management." If they only knew that their precious cars were parked in my garage, their declined credit cards were being processed through my payment systems, and their entire evening was unfolding in my property. "Something like that," I said as my phone buzzed with a message from my head of security. "Ms. Anderson, multiple payment declines on valet services. Shall we initiate standard protocol?" Madison was now showing off photos of her beach house. The same property I knew was 3 months behind on mortgage payments according to my real estate division's records. "You should visit sometime," she gushed to the gathering crowd. "Though the parking is quite exclusive. Not really suited for economy vehicles." I typed a quick response to security. "Begin protocol at 9 p.m. Make sure to announce it properly." The evening was about to become much more interesting than these annual displays of borrowed luxury. "Excuse me," I smiled, heading toward my private elevator. "I need to check on some parking validation issues." Behind me, I heard Jessica's stage whisper, "God, imagine still working in parking after 10 years. How embarrassing." They had no idea just how embarrassing this evening would become. From my private office overlooking the hotel's main entrance, I watched the drama unfold through our security feeds. The first sign of trouble came when Blake tried to order another round of premium drinks. "I'm sorry, sir. The bartender followed my specific instructions, but all your cards are showing as declined. Perhaps try the house wine." "Impossible," he blustered, pulling out another card. "I'm an investment banker." What he didn't mention was that his investment banking job was actually a junior analyst position at a firm that rented office space in another one of my buildings. His personnel file showed he was on final warning for exaggerating client returns. Jessica was busy holding court near the windows, regaling everyone with stories of her successful marketing agency. "We handle luxury brands only," she proclaimed, gesturing with her champagne glass. "In fact, this hotel is probably losing business by not hiring us." I smiled, pulling up her company's proposal from last month, rejected due to their history of inflating social media metrics and suspicious billing practices. Madison's moment came next. She was showing photos of her beach house to a group of admiring former cheerleaders when her phone lit up with an incoming call from her mortgage company, my mortgage company. "Send it to voicemail," she muttered, quickly turning her phone face down. "Just some spam caller." I checked the time. 8:55 p.m. In 5 minutes, their carefully constructed facades would begin crumbling, starting with their precious cars. Right on schedule, the hotel's PA system crackled to life. "Attention guests. Due to multiple payment irregularities, all vehicles in the valet area are being towed by order of the property owner. Please see security to arrange payment and retrieval." The ballroom erupted in panic. Jessica dropped her champagne glass. Blake's carefully maintained banker pose cracked. Madison's beach house photos were forgotten as they all rushed to the windows, watching as tow trucks from my company of course lined up outside. This is outrageous. Jessica was screaming at the front desk. Do you know who I am? Yes, Ms. Martinez, the manager replied calmly following my script. Our systems show 3 declined cards for valet services and an outstanding bar tab. The owner is very particular about payment compliance. Get me the owner right now. Blake demanded, his replica Rolex glinting under the chandelier lights. I'm an investment banker. I'll have this place sued. Of course, sir, the manager smiled. The owner is actually on premises. Security will escort you to the executive office. I watched through the cameras as they were led to my private elevator, Jessica trying to maintain her influencer poise, Blake straightening his tie for a confrontation, and Madison frantically trying to delete her beach house posts before her mortgage issues became public knowledge. Send them up, I messaged security. Let's see if they remember the parking attendant they used to mock. The elevator doors opened and they stepped into my office, freezing as they saw me behind the desk. Welcome to my hotel, I smiled. Shall we discuss your outstanding payments? The look on their faces was worth every parking ticket they'd ever thrown at me in high school. This has to be some kind of joke, Jessica stammered, her Instagram-ready pose faltering as she took in the wall of property development awards behind my desk, all bearing my name. You were a parking attendant. I managed parking, I corrected her, pulling up their financial records on my office's massive display. Now I manage properties, including this hotel, the parking structure, and coincidentally the building where your luxury marketing agency keeps missing rent payments. Blake's investment banker facade cracked further as he stared at the real estate portfolio displayed on the screens. RA Holdings, the market valuation, the property assets, are worth more than your entire firm's portfolio, I finished, bringing up his company's lease agreement. Speaking of which, how's that final warning for misrepresenting investment returns working out? Madison had sunk into a chair, frantically checking her phone. My beach house photos have been flagged by my property management AI for using stolen luxury real estate listings, I noted, displaying her social media analytics. Though the mortgage default notices on your actual condo are quite genuine. The screens filled with their digital footprints, every bounced check, every declined card, every desperate attempt to maintain appearances in a world of real estate they thought they understood. Your cars are currently being towed to our secured facility, I continued casually. Release fees are substantial, but we do accept payment plans. Though your current credit scores might be problematic. This is harassment. Jessica found her voice, social media influencer mode activating. My followers will hear about this. Your followers? I smiled, pulling up her marketing agency's client list. The ones you purchased through that bot farm operating out of my server facility? Those followers. Blake tried a different approach. Rachel, surely we can work something out. My firm handles significant real estate investments. Your firm rents a small office in my building, I corrected him, and is 3 months behind on utilities. Would you like to see the notices? Madison was still staring at her phone, watching her carefully curated social media presence unravel as the beach house photos were flagged for fraud. Here's what's going to happen, I said, producing 3 folders. Inside each folder is a payment arrangement for your various obligations. Real payment plans based on your actual incomes, not the ones you pretend to have. But my image, Jessica whispered, will need to be based on reality, not borrowed luxury. Pie clients, Blake started, will need to trust actual returns, not inflated promises. Madison just clutched her phone, watching her fake lifestyle dissolve one post at a time. You have 2 choices, I continued. Sign the payment agreements, accepting your actual financial situation, or face collection proceedings on all properties and vehicles involved. You can't do this, Blake protested weakly. Actually, I smiled, as your property owner, creditor, and parking enforcement authority I can. And I am. The reunion downstairs was still in full swing, former classmates unaware that 3 of their most successful alumni were watching their facades crumble in my office. By the way, I added, your Honda comment earlier? That was my backup car. My actual vehicle is the Bentley in the private garage. The one you've been admiring all evening. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's watching people realize that their pretense of success has been built on property you actually own. The aftermath of that reunion night reshaped more than just their financial situations. It transformed the entire dynamic of our graduating class. Word spread quickly through social media, though not in the way Jessica, Blake, and Madison had always imagined they'd go viral. Local property mogul reveals identity at high school reunion became the headline they couldn't control. Their carefully curated social media profiles couldn't compete with the reality of their repossessed luxury vehicles and exposed financial facades. A month later, I sat in my private office, reviewing their payment arrangement progress. Jessica's marketing agency had been downsized to a small office in one of my secondary properties, the only space she could actually afford. Her new business cards read Social Media Associate, rather than CEO. Your latest rent payment cleared, I informed her during our mandatory monthly review. Though I noticed you're still trying to pass off stock photos as your luxury client portfolio. She shifted uncomfortably in her chair, no longer designer label but department store practical. Old habits, she mumbled. Blake's investment firm had reassigned him to their compliance department after his financial misrepresentations came to light. His replica Rolex had been replaced by a simple Timex. Your parking fees are current, I noted during his review. Though security mentioned you're now carpooling to work. Quite a change from the BMW days. Public transport is educational, he admitted, unable to meet my eyes. Madison had moved out of her defaulted condo into a modest apartment in one of my residential buildings. Her beach house photos had been replaced by honest posts about financial rebuilding. Your mortgage restructuring plan is proceeding well, I told her. And I appreciate the social media honesty about living within one's means. Turns out authenticity gets more genuine engagement than fake luxury, she said quietly. The real surprise came during the property management company's annual gala. As owner, I was giving the keynote speech about authentic success in real estate. In the general admission section sat several familiar faces from the reunion, their expressions far more attentive than during our high school classes. Success isn't about where you park your car, I told the audience, enjoying the ironic twitch from Blake. It's about building something real from the ground up. Sometimes literally. My phone buzzed with an alert. Another luxury vehicle had just been towed from one of my properties, this one belonging to our former class president, who'd spent reunion night bragging about his non-existent real estate empire. Should we prepare another payment arrangement meeting? My assistant asked. Schedule it for tomorrow, I replied, watching the tow truck through our security feeds. And pull up their social media history. Let's see what other facades need restructuring. Because sometimes the best lesson in property management is learning that true ownership isn't about appearances. It's about building something genuine, one parking space at a time. In the end, they finally understood that while they'd been posting about success, I'd been quietly building it. And unlike their luxury car payments, that was something that would never be declined.